What's going on, GBA universe? This is TheUzigunner here, bringing you people the very next episode of Trainer Cards. As far as today's episode goes, we are going to be taking a look at a coach who has a game named after him, Chimpact. So with a very short intro out of the way, let's get this show on the road. Chimpact is a well-versed competitive Pokemon battler who made his debut in draft format in the Season 6 of the GBA, which is pretty much the only league he's been competing in. Since then, he's had some rather interesting seasons, which gives him a total of 17 wins and 9 losses in total, creating an alright percentage of 65.3. Despite the rather awkward data and the evident lack of experience he has in this format compared to the other coaches, he still has managed to reach playoffs in all 2 seasons, so there's that. Regarding the type of teams Chimp's been using up until now, it'd be safe to assume that he's a huge believer of bulky offense as well as balance in general. He always had a guaranteed form of initiating momentum, as well as certain Pokemon to sponge hits from, and most importantly, Spike Stack as well as Toxic Spike Stack, something which is present for this season as well. To top it off, there's always an established terrifying setup sweeper or cleaner waiting in the back as well, making him a rather stressful opponent to prep for. Another thing to note about his drafts would be the fact that it doesn't necessarily create a specific pattern for prep, but rather opens a lot of rooms for creativity, something which definitely can get you far in such competition. In all his 2 seasons, Chimpact has managed to make use out of most of his Pokemon pretty well, but if there was one that did it the best, it would be none other than Mega Diancie. That's right folks, despite the fact that he drafted that Mega during Auras, where getting a turn 1 Mega Evolution wouldn't necessarily equate to an automatic speed boost, that still did not stop him from getting 13 straight kills with it and losing it only 4 times in the process, something that I definitely applaud him for. And while I will say that throughout the season, he hasn't necessarily brought any sorts of innovative set whatsoever from this thing, other than some EV variations here and there, and with the movesets being rather standard, the reason why he managed to get that many kills with it is due to the fact that just like MV, the team support he had for it was absolutely perfect. From chipping his opponent's team down with Hazard Stack, making sure that his opponents don't take advantage of his Mega Diancie going for Protect turn 1, to even cheeky doubles here and there so that Mega Diancie can come in freely and pick up the pieces without necessarily having to go for a Protect turn 1 as it Mega Evolves. It also helps that Chimp is a guy that's really not afraid to make very aggressive plays every now and then, which as a result would lead to him invalidating the Diamond Princess's handicap back then and bring out the absolute best in it. And now, last but not least, let's talk about exactly what the mindset of Chimpact is while playing. It'd be a complete understatement to say that he loves Hazard Stack. Most of his wins in the Season 6 of the GBA came from such a strategy, particularly the ones involving the usage of Toxic Spikes. He'd set them up as early as possible with his Cofagrigus before going on from there. It's something he managed to use very effectively and something that his opponents struggled with a lot while playing him. I wouldn't necessarily say that he plays to rush the game, but rather set the game plan in such a way that ensures hazards early on in the game before methodically chipping down the opposing Pokemon. Another reason why I think the strategy involving Toxic Spikes as well as other forms of hazards worked out so well for him would be the fact that his draft would always afford at least 1 to 2 Pokemon that can freely come in on those hazard removers and create just as much, if not more pressure than with the hazard setup, creating a rather precarious position for his opponents, as well as freely being able to reset the hazards up again so that his opponents get put in an everlasting cycle basically. Furthermore, his prep isn't necessarily what you would call one-dimensional, as he definitely does know how to switch up a bit of his style for some of his matches that involve bringing some sorts of innovation here and there, bringing out the best potential in some of his Pokemon. It definitely does sway away from the type of prep you'd see in an experienced Smogon battler that's new to draft format. It also should be worth mentioning that him being able to effectively use Scolipede in some crucial matches would end up being part of the reason why Smash Pass got banned as a whole in the GBA. However, if there was one rather tiny flaw in Chimpact's style, it would be the fact that even though he's been able to make very aggressive plays and have them work out for him, sometimes he does end up getting some of them wrong and instead becomes the one on the back foot. To his credit of course, on many occasions where he would mess up, he still managed to bounce back with needed contingency measures, but on the few occasions where his opponent is able to fully capitalize on it, Not so much. That being said, of course, he still managed to secure playoffs in all of his 2 seasons, and regrettably being hacked out in all 2 of them in the first round. I will say though that if RNG doesn't play its course and he manages to stay consistent throughout the season, especially during the important matches, the idea of him winning the title is not too far off. I look forward to seeing if that ever happens, as well as his next episode of Jeopardy. There's your free plug. So with that being said, that's the end of the 3rd episode of Trainer Cards. I hope you guys managed to enjoy this, and as far as next week goes, I will be covering none other than NecroStevo. So I hope you all are looking forward to that, and with that being said, feel free to drop a like on this video. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of Chimpact and the Philadelphia Scissors in general, and with that, I'll see you all on the flip side. Peace.